Hello, everybody. What's up? God bless. How you doing? Good evening. I'm over here in at home. I just came from work, like around. I left my job at 9:30. I got here in 15 minutes. I worked in many jobs in the past. I worked in a lot of jobs. I mean, I worked all over. I worked in the parks department in Staten Island. I worked in Dakota Diner on Forest Avenue, and I worked in Coney Island, maybe a day. That was it. And then I worked in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, by Williamsburg Bridge. I worked for a man working in the in the cleaners. Like taking the clothes out and give it to the customer. They give you a ticket, remember? And then I was working for O. Henry's Film Works back in the 80s, in the late 70s. I lasted there 5 years, and then from there I jumped to a clearing corporation on Wall Street. I was there. Well, it was 17 years, and it was more than 17 years because what happened, I worked there from 84 until 2001. And then from there, the company was sold to La Branch on 120 Broadway. So I started working for them, for La Branch. We merged, and then I was laid off in 2002, and wound up working. Wound up in from New Jersey. I wound up moving back to Staten Island, and was working in Staples retail. In the furniture department. Sales associate, all that kind of stuff. And what else? And then after that, I jumped back to Wall Street and I started working for SIA, Securities Industries Association, and then later became SIFMA, SIFMA, and then I was there 10 years, and then 2017, I retired at 62, and I took all my money and left, and that's it, and I've been retired ever since. I've been traveling around the United States. I lived in Mexico. I've been all over the place. And then last but not least, in 2024, I was working in Puerto Rico for Econo, which is a supermarket, and it's owned by Fandango, something like that. And then I wound up back in Houston, and then back to San Antonio, and then 4, 6, I don't know, months later, they called me to work for Autozone. And trust me, Autozone is, for me, it's a big experience because I'm learning about car parts. I'm very familiar with cars. I'm very familiar with certain things. I'm able to give people ideas and stuff like that. Like I try myself. And for example, there was a customer that walked in and it was asking for the leak sealer, the leak from the radiator. It was leaking, so you buy this particular liquid supposed to clog up that area. And then I gave the guy a tip. I said, listen, well, back in the days, we used to place red pepper inside the radiator. So that red pepper used to travel all over the holes and clogged up all the holes. It used to work. Anyway, so AutoZone is, for me, is a real big big challenge. I mean, I get stuck with customers with questions I don't understand sometimes. I keep asking everybody there. I asked my boss today, how is it this thing? How do you manage? They say, yeah, you learn. You just learn. Just ask me if anything, you learn. I say, okay, let's take him for his word. But I want to show this to show you guys that it is a very challenging job. I mean, I did a lot of jobs in the past, but this one, I used to work on Wall Street, balancing millions and millions of dollars. I was into accounting. I did that quick. I did it like that. I was trained and I learned quick. But this is car parts. This is not balancing numbers. So I'm gonna have to get used to it. And God help me, man. But I'm gonna try my best.